going to a restaurant with a few friends when she was snatched on the streets of Boston by ICE agents who were out of uniform with masks on their faces and dragged into an unmarked van. Her crime apparently was co-authoring an editorial in the student newspaper critical of Netanyahu and Trump. Now, somebody sent me an email this morning going, well, these green card holders who want to criticize Israel, they're here at our pleasure. It's a privilege, not a right, to have a green card and be in this country or have a student visa. Yeah, but the First Amendment that says that everyone has the right for free speech is not limited to citizens. It includes everybody in the country. Everybody. Anyhow, what happened to this young woman? Well, at first nobody knew. Her lawyer told the New York Times, we are unaware of her whereabouts and have not been able to contact her. And then late last night, as the video of her being kidnapped started going viral across the internet, we learned from ICE that she is being held in that same violent facility private prison down in Louisiana, as is Mahmoud Khalil, the Columbia University student. This is Trump's war on students who dare to speak out against Netanyahu, Trump's good friend and fellow autocrat. And then there's Yoon Seo Chung. She was brought to the United States when she was 7 years old by her parents. She's a legal permanent resident of the United States. And she also spoke out against Netanyahu, and now she is in hiding because ICE is looking for her. 3 people have died in ICE's custody in just 1 month. A 29-year-old from Honduras, a 45-year-old from Ethiopia, and a 44-year-old from Ukraine. That's the highest number of people to die in ICE custody since COVID swept their facilities in 2020. They're currently holding 46,200 people, and their legal capacity maximum is 41,500. But apparently the people who are being held are the lucky ones. Neri Alvarado was working as a baker in Dallas, caring for his 15-year-old brother who has autism. He even got a tattoo celebrating Autism Awareness Month in support of his younger sibling. So Trump, with no legal process whatsoever, in complete defiance of our Constitution and Bill of Rights, kidnapped him and deported him to one of the world's most notorious prisons in El Salvador, citing the tattoo as justification. This morning, we learned that Trump's goons also shipped a married father with no criminal record and no tattoos off to that same prison. Again, with no due process, this man committed no crime whatsoever. The goal of this sort of kidnapping and hellish incarceration isn't to clear the streets of criminals or promote public safety or even prevent immigration. It's to create terror. And it's working. This is a playbook that's as ancient as the world's first kings. Defy the monarch or even challenge the monarch, and your quality of life rapidly goes to hell. From the Tower of London in the 12th century of England right up to the 1950s, frankly, to Stalin's gulags, from the medieval popes, Palazzo della Inquisition, torture chambers, to Hitler's concentration camps, from Xi Jinping's re-education camps to Trump's ICE agents snatching people off the streets. Every tyrant throughout history has used the threat of arrest and imprisonment as a way to force public compliance with their regime. But this is just one part of a much larger strategy that Putin, Xi, and Trump are using to wipe out democracy and divide the world into 3 camps, each run by an absolute ruler in his own respective sphere of influence. Michael Cohen laid this out this morning, Trump's longtime fixer, on his own Substack newsletter. He said, let's talk about the concept of sphere of influence. Historically, it's a term ripped straight from the colonial playbook, where imperial powers carved up the world like slices of a pizza, deciding who got to dominate where. Now, in Trump's warped worldview, this concept isn't an historical relic, it's a roadmap for unchecked authoritarian expansion. Only this time, it's not just Putin and Xi sketching out the borders of their empires. Trump envisions his own empire, too. Canada and Mexico, consider them new stars on Old Glory. And I would add Panama and Greenland. Putin has frequently talked about a multipolar world. Now, during the Cold War, it was considered a bipolar world, essentially. There was the West, the United States and Europe, and the Soviet Union, and arguably China, but basically communism versus capitalism. Putin is proposing that there be 3 spheres of influence, that Russia control Russia and Europe, that the United States control the Americas, North and South and Central America, and Greenland, and that China controls all of Asia. And this is apparently, what Trump is doing, what Trump is advocating. And in doing so, he's following a playbook that China and Russia have just basically perfected over the years. In both Russia and China, the courts have been brought under control. And Trump is trying to do the same by setting judges up for threats to their and their families' lives and intimidating lawyers and law firms. In both China and Russia, the media has been brought under the control of Putin and Xi. Trump's trying to do the same by suing media outlets, attacking PBS, NPR, shutting down Voice of America, Radio Liberty, and threatening journalists. In both Russia and China, elections are rigged through selective voter registration rules, so Putin and Xi's power is never meaningfully challenged. Trump just issued an executive order day before yesterday doing the same. It'll prevent millions of women who changed their names when they got married from voting in the next election. In both Russia and China, police have been militarized and courts routinely give draconian sentences to dissidents. Trump just threatened 20 years in prison and deportation to El Salvador to anybody who dares attack a Tesla. ICE has now become his very own special protection squad. You know what that phrase in German is Schutzstaffel, protection squad. Schutzstaffel is the word that is typically abbreviated as SS. Meanwhile, Trump is moving America closer to Russia and way away from our traditional democratic allies. He's compiling a list of Biden's Russia sanctions he can dial back. He ordered the U.S. Cyber Command to suspend cyber and information operations with regard to Russia. He's opposed a UN resolution condemning Russia's aggression against Ukraine. He dramatically slowed delivery of U.S. weapons to Ukraine. And his vice president recently trash-talked Europe on that notorious signal chat. His final step will probably take place later this year when the demonstrations reach a critical mass. Remember when he was asking Mark Milley to shoot protesters in the legs? I predict that's coming. That Trump is going to declare a state of emergency and martial law. And then we'll start to resemble Belarus or Turkey right now. And in addition, that could trigger World War III. Or simply, without a war, a complete change in international boundaries and, borders. Putin would almost certainly immediately take Ukraine. Xi would almost certainly immediately take Taiwan. And very quickly, we're in Putin's multipolar world, 3 spheres of influence. And then what happens? Trump attacks Panama and Greenland, and perhaps Mexico. So what do we do? Well, history suggests mobilizing 3.5% of the populace is enough to swing public opinion in a way that will change governmental actions. I get that, and I've seen the studies. But if you look at what's happened in Belarus and Israel, more than 3.5% of the population is out in the streets, and both those, the repressive autocrats running those countries, Lukashenko and Netanyahu, have not been removed. But still, it's worth a try. There are things we can do right now. Support independent progressive media. Show up for protests in your area. Post your opinions on social media. Share my newsletter, Hartmann Report, and Tom.tv with your friends. Reach out to your elected officials from federal to state levels. Run for political office yourself. Join your local Democratic Party and volunteer as a precinct committee person, and wake up everybody you know. America is under assault right now from Putin, Trump, Xi, and Musk. And things have gotten far worse than anybody expected. We have to remember what Winston Churchill said during a difficult time, Britain's last great moment of national danger. He said, "We shall never turn from our purpose, however somber the road, however grievous the cost, because we know that out of this time of trial and tribulation will be born a new freedom and glory for all mankind."